Hey, my friend. Welcome back to Cowboys News TV. If you're here, it's because you bleed blue and silver just like I do. And today, we've got some big things to talk about. The NFL draft is coming up, and the Cowboys have some serious decisions to make. Every year, the draft gives teams a chance to build for the future, and for the Cowboys, this one feels more important than ever. After another season filled with ups and downs, it's clear that Dallas has some holes to fill. But the big question is, which positions should they prioritize? Should they go all in on defense, find another offensive weapon, or maybe, just maybe, take a risk on a high upside prospect? Now, I want your take on this. Jump into the comments and tell me, what's the Cowboys' biggest need heading into the draft? Is it the offensive line, defensive playmakers, a true number 2 cornerback? Let's get the discussion going. And of course, if you love staying up to date with all things Cowboys, make sure to like this video and share it with other die-hard fans. We're building a community here, and the more voices we have, the better the conversation gets. All right, now let's dive into the players themselves. First up, a name that's been getting a lot of buzz. Shamar Stewart, an absolute athletic freak out of Texas A&M. Could he be the next game-changing pass rusher for the Cowboys? Let's break it down. All right, let's talk about a name that's been heating up in Cowboys draft discussions, Shamar Stewart. This guy is a physical specimen, plain and simple. Standing at 6'5" and weighing 267 pounds, he runs a blazing 4.58 in the 40-yard dash. That kind of size and speed combination, it's not something you see every day. And that's exactly why scouts have been comparing him to former number 1 overall pick Jadeveon Clowney. Now, when you watch Stewart play, it's clear why he's getting so much hype. He's explosive off the line, he's got the power to shed blocks, and he can set the edge in the run game. But, and this is a big but, his pass rush production hasn't exactly been elite. Sure, he's disruptive, but his sack numbers don't jump off the page. And that's where the debate begins. Would the Cowboys be making the right call by using a first-round pick on Stewart? On one hand, he has all the tools to be a dominant force in the NFL. On the other, we've seen plenty of athletic freaks struggle to translate that talent into actual sack production at the pro level. It's a classic boom-or-bust scenario, and Dallas needs to be careful. So let's settle this right now. If you were in the Cowboys front office, would you take Shamar Stewart in the first round? Drop your grade in the comments. A, absolutely, he's a future star. B, maybe, but only if other top players are gone. C, I'd rather trade down. D, no way, too risky. F, bust written all over him. All right, but what if Dallas decides to pass on Stewart and focus on the secondary instead? There's a cornerback in this class that fits the Cowboys' mold perfectly, and he might just be available in the second round. Let's talk about Savon Revel. If there's one thing the Cowboys love, it's drafting cornerbacks with size, athleticism, and upside. Enter Savon Revel, a standout cornerback from East Carolina who checks all those boxes. At 6'2" with long arms and fluid movement, he looks like the kind of defensive back Dallas would target. But there's one big question mark that could push him down the draft board: his injury history. Revel suffered a torn ACL in college, and while he's made a strong recovery, that kind of injury always raises concerns. The Cowboys, though, have a history of taking chances on injured players if the talent is there. They even have a nickname for it, the Blue Star Special. Guys like Jalen Smith and Damone Clark were drafted despite serious injuries, and while the results have been mixed, it's clear that Dallas isn't afraid to take risks. When you watch Revel play, it's easy to see why he's still getting so much attention. He's aggressive, physical, and not afraid to tackle, something the Cowboys need in their secondary. He's also a playmaker, willing to take chances to jump routes and create turnovers. But that aggressiveness? It's a double-edged sword. He can get caught out of position at times, and in the NFL, quarterbacks will punish that. So if Revel is sitting there in the second round, should the Cowboys take the gamble? That's the big question. Do you trust the medical reports and bet on his upside? Or do you play it safe and go in another direction? Let's hear it from you. Do you support the Cowboys' strategy of drafting talented players who have injury concerns? Drop your answer in the comments. Yes, it's worth the risk if the player has star potential. No, the team needs reliable, healthy players. Now, if the Cowboys decide to pass on a cornerback, maybe they look to boost their offense instead. And there's one running back in this draft who has scouts buzzing, some are even high, comparing him to Marshawn Lynch. Let's talk about Damen Martinez. If there's one thing the Cowboys could use, it's a power back who can keep defenses honest. And Damen Martinez, he might just be that guy. The Oregon State running back has been turning heads with his bruising running style, and some scouts are even comparing him to Marshawn Lynch. Now, before we get carried away, let's be clear, he's not beast mode. But the way he runs, the physicality, the ability to wear down defenses, that's where the similarities come in. At 6'0" and 232 pounds, Martinez is built to take hits and keep going. He's not the fastest back in the draft, but he has great vision, balance, and an underrated burst. He thrives on contact, bouncing off tacklers and always falling forward for extra yards. That's exactly the kind of runner the Cowboys could pair with Javonte Williams to create a dangerous 1-2 punch. Williams has the explosiveness. Martinez brings the physicality. Now here's the catch. The Cowboys would likely have to take Martinez in the third round, and the question is whether that's the right move. With Tony Pollard gone, Dallas does need depth at running back. But is Martinez worth the pick? He's not much of a receiving threat, and his pass protection needs work. Two things that are critical in today's NFL. So here's where you come in. If you were the Cowboys GM, would you draft Damen Martinez in the third round? Vote in the comments. D. Draft him. Dallas needs a physical back. P. Pass on him. Go for another position instead. Either way, Martinez is a name to watch as we get closer to draft day. But while he's drawing comparisons to a legend, our next prospect is caught up in a completely different kind of conversation. A controversy, to be exact. Let's talk about Tetairoa McMillan and why he's making headlines for all the wrong reasons. When it comes to evaluating NFL prospects, talent is only part of the equation. Teams want to know about work ethic, football, IQ, and passion for the game. That's why Tetairoa McMillan, the talented wide receiver from Arizona, is at the center of a heated debate. Recently, McMillan made headlines for admitting that he doesn't really watch football. That statement alone sent shockwaves through draft circles. Some analysts immediately questioned his commitment to the game, while others shrugged it off as an overreaction. After all, talent speaks louder than words, right? There's no doubt that McMillan has the skills. 6'5". With elite ball tracking ability, he's a nightmare for defenders. He wins contested catches, runs smooth routes, and has the kind of catch radius that quarterbacks love. But the question is, does his mindset raise a red flag? NFL teams put a lot of weight on a player's dedication to film study. It's not just about athleticism, it's about understanding defenses, making adjustments, and being prepared for every situation. If McMillan isn't passionate about the X's and O's, could that limit his ceiling at the next level? Of course, there's also the other side of the argument. Plenty of great players have had a more laid-back approach to film study, relying on natural instincts and in-game adjustments. Some scouts believe McMillan's talent is enough to outweigh any concerns about his football habits. So now it's your turn. What do you think? Does McMillan's comment change your opinion of him? Would you still draft him despite the controversy? Let me know in the comments. Why? Yes, talent is all that matters. N. No, work ethic is just as important. One thing's for sure, the NFL draft is full of surprises, and McMillan's stock will be one of the biggest storylines to watch. But regardless of who the Cowboys pick, This draft will play a crucial role in shaping the team's future. Let's wrap things up.